On today's podcast, founder Stephanie of Moms for Moms shares how she is making an impact in the East Valley. She also has a giant heart for giving space to moms to be raw and authentic in every season, from fertility to momming life. So let's get nourished and dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Nourished Life podcast. I'm your host, Ange. This is your go-to spot for all things wellness, mind, body, and soul. We're talking feel-good routines, honest conversations, and guests who will inspire you to live fully and feel your best. And get ready to hear some saucy secrets at the end of each episode. It's time to get nourished. Let's dive in. Okay, welcome Stephanie. She is founder of a local moms group called Moms for Moms, and we met in a fun, random way. But share exactly what this group is all about and your mission behind it.
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks for having me on, Angela. I'm really excited to do this, by the way. So Moms for Moms started as an idea for how to support women going through IVF and fertility. And if we can back up a little further, I was actually a host of a mom group that was started in California. And it is owned by someone else. So I felt like I was limited in the types of gatherings that I could bring together. And I felt in my heart that we needed to hold space for women going through IVF and infertility and just the hard stuff that comes with motherhood, because there's a lot of bliss, there's a lot of beauty, and it's not always pretty, right? Like we struggle. Me personally, I struggled to get pregnant.
Yeah. Well, that's an area where we connected on, because I have my infertility story. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, this lady, this community, like I'm so glad, because 20 years ago when I was going through that, it was not really talked about. And you don't realize that 1 in 4, that was then statistics, not too sure what it is now, have this miscarriage percentage.
Yeah, and I was feeling the same way. I've been going through infertility, or at least that I knew of, for the last 4 years since we got a diagnosis. And I didn't have a support system. So I actually went through an ectopic pregnancy.
Okay.
And if we want to rewind even farther beyond that, I actually, when I was younger, I placed my son for adoption.
Oh, okay.
So I have an older, he's an adult now, son. And I thought getting pregnant would be so easy.
Right.
And then I found my husband, my dream Prince Charming.
Yeah.
And we started trying for our family, and it was taking longer than what, we had anticipated, but it was no big deal, right? Because I've been pregnant before, so it shouldn't be an issue. And then in April 2021, I was spontaneously pregnant, and then had found out it was ectopic and had to have surgery. Like, the medication route was not an option. It was too far along, and it was, so that was earth shattering. I went from, thinking getting pregnant and having a baby would be so easy to, I not only lost the pregnancy and the baby, I lost my right fallopian too.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask, because sometimes you can't catch it in time.
Right. And we didn't.
Yeah.
So it was very much so my identity I felt stripped of. And there was I didn't really find any groups or anyone was around, especially not locally, that were able to hold space for what I was going through. I blamed myself for the ectopic pregnancy when that is not something that's in my control at all.
And I'm going to pause on that, because I have not ever shared this piece to me on my podcast, which is why I also want you on, because I relate to it, and it's an opportunity to share parts of my story, because we all have a story. But I had 2 miscarriages, and the second one was an empty sac. So, there are the normal miscarriages, quote unquote normal, right? Because even what I experienced in my second miscarriage and you in your ectopic is still also normal. But I didn't know there were other ones.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
I had no idea what an ectopic pregnancy even was. I mean, I tried not to look up. There were signs, right? I was having the unilateral cramping. I was having the bleeding. Like there was stuff, and I started looking it up. But I was in such disbelief that that would happen to me that like
100%.
I didn't really think it would happen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So yeah. So now fast forwarding to um, what was it, October 2024, I was hosting these mom walks and it
mm-hmm.
felt like I wasn't able to be authentic. I love holding space for the heavy and the raw
Yeah,
and the real.
yeah.
And then
Me too. I
I'm
think
so
that's
glad
why
you're here.
we connect, because it's like, no, we all have a story, and I just go back to that.
Mhm.
And it, whatever the topic is, it's like I want to be a person who can share my story, but I also want to be a person, and you continue to say this, which is so speaking to me, is holding space
Mm,
for someone who wants to share their story, whether it's in the same area or somewhat similar, but that we can be real and raw.
yeah, absolutely. And I was literally on a walk with someone and I was telling them this idea that was on my heart of like starting Moms for Moms. And I was telling her, I was like, well, I had an ectopic pregnancy in May of 2021, or I had the surgery in May of 2021. Um, and she was like, wait, I had an ectopic pregnancy in May 2021 or
Mhm,
early 2021.
mhm.
And then I said, yeah, I was 7.5 weeks and I lost my right tube. And she was like, I was 7.5 weeks and I lost my right tube. And it was this moment of like,
I have like a chill, because this is why you open up. This is why
right.
you share.
How many of us are going through this and
Mhm.
still are thinking we're the only one? And,
Yeah.
and I've always been an open book. I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
I will overshare to
Yes.
anyone and everyone. So you can take that as you want. But I think that it's really been a gift for me to open
Mhm.
up about my story and make others feel less isolated.
Mhm.
So during Pregnancy and Infant Awareness Loss Month in October last year, I
Mhm.
did my first walk. And
So it was because I looked up because there's a fertility month, right?
mhm,
Like, there are two. I thought something was in April.
I think that is fertility,
Oh, okay.
infertility month,
But I
or
didn't
like
realize
national
there was
awareness.
a specific one for loss in
Mhm.
October.
Yep. No, there's some
Okay.
really great like honoring days. Like there's even a bereaved Mother's Day. Like
Mhm.
and that's what I'm trying to hold space for because as someone who has been walking this path
Mhm.
for 5 years,
Mhm.
I didn't even know there was a bereaved Mother's Day. I mean,
Yeah.
granted there is a birth Mother's Day. So that was something that's on my heart. And
Yeah.
then there's Mother's Day, which is also on my heart. I lost my mom when I was 6 months pregnant with my
Okay.
son. And then there's the bereaved Mother's Day. So like I'm like, there's
Wow.
all these days that are honoring
Mhm.
the hardness that
Mhm.
we're walking through
Mhm.
on a day-to-day basis. Um, and I didn't have any idea. So hopefully with Moms for Moms, I can bring awareness to these days and honor
Yeah.
everyone in the way
Yeah.
that they need or want, and in a
Mhm.
in a take it or leave it type of way.
Sure.
Not a
Sure.
you have to show up. Like I opened up a group chat specific to IVF and infertility moms, and it's all are welcome. Moms
Mhm.
in waiting. I
Right.
remember after I lost our baby in 2021, I felt like a mom, but I didn't have a baby in my arms.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when you're in church and they ask all the moms to stand up on Sunday, and you're like, I'm a birth mom, but I'm not a mom. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a
I can relate to that because my first miscarriage was the Thursday before Mother's Day. And I didn't want to go to church. And my mom was like, go to church. And then she's like nudging me to stand up. And,
oof.
and then the people in front of us turned around and said, oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
congratulations, because there hadn't been time. And then I just burst into tears. And, and that was in 2003. So, I like remember now I'm healed from the pain of that, but it is still very vivid
Mm-hmm.
of the loss and trying to navigate. I am a mom, and then owning that. I think that's one thing to like, no, I was, but owning you're still a mom. And as you have your story,
Yeah.
you're still a mom.
Yeah.
You period.
Like
There's no like that's the end. Title is given, moment pregnancy in my opinion
mhm.
occurs. And yeah, I mean, even here, like, we have relatable doubts. Like, what do I get to call myself
Right.
after this tragic experience? I don't know about you. Did you have like instant love for your pregnancy? Like that, like, I'm pregnant, I love this baby. Or were you still like navigating
I th-
feelings? Yeah.
I had love for that baby before I was pregnant. You know,
Yeah.
like when I got pregnant with my son that I placed for adoption,
Mhm.
like I think there was this love that I wasn't able to ever give him.
Yeah.
And I think so that has just always lived in me. And that's
Yeah.
why, like, I've always worked in pediatrics and I've always taken care of,
Mhm.
babysat and taken care of other people's
Mhm.
kids. And I think that that love has been able to be given to other babies and other kids. So,
Mhm.
yeah, of
Mhm.
course, when I got pregnant and it was, well, what I thought was in my womb,
Mhm. Yeah, sure.
um, yeah, I think there's an immediate love and excitement. It was actually a day that was really busy. We were leaving for Vegas that day because
Mhm.
my husband races like competitively, and his crew chief was going to show up. Like, I think it was like 8 minutes. So
Mm.
I had like 8 minutes to tell my husband I was pregnant. And like I had bought a scarf to go on the dog, and like I was trying to
Yeah,
like, but then
yeah.
I was like, okay, also we're not dressed for the day, and Brian's going to be here in 8 minutes. So we
Yeah.
got to go. So it was a very like, and then we kept it a secret. We didn't tell anyone, I
Yeah.
think, on the trip or anything. So yeah, of course, there was that love, there was that
Mhm. Mhm.
excitement. Those dreams start to build.
Oh,
You
yeah.
start to imagine like having a little
Yeah.
toddler at the racetrack, and
Yeah.
yeah, instantaneously the dreams began to
Mhm. Mhm.
flow.
And I relate to that because I remember at my 7.5 weeks miscarrying, starting the spotting, um, and we saw the heartbeat. And so, you know, I knew when I peed on a stick, I was a little bit shock and awe
Mhm,
on that because I didn't, we weren't planning, but we weren't not.
mhm, mhm,
And so I was like, I love this baby. And I couldn't believe the overwhelming uh up, love that just like I experienced. I had never had that before for something I don't look any different.
mhm,
you
mhm,
know, I
mhm.
can't see it, but my stick tells me I am.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm all in already.
Yep.
And so that, and I'll tap in a little bit. I have adopted my son. So with that space, it's like I've been wanting to be a mom and have the love, and then now I'm in, and we can tap into this much more in depth later if we want to, but I didn't love the same way Logan than I did when I got pregnant. It was a very like, I felt guilty. I felt all
Mhm,
these things that I didn't have with this baby I didn't see or feel.
mhm,
Very confusing emotions and feelings
mhm.
as you go through any stage of becoming a mom, a parent. This episode of the Nourish Life podcast is brought to you by Cozy Earth, one of my absolute favorite brands for comfort, quality, and conscious living. If you're ready to upgrade your sleep and self care game, you have to try their bamboo sheets and ultra soft loungewear. They're breathable, temperature regulating, and made from sustainable materials. Seriously, it's like wrapping yourself in a hug. I've been living in their all day tea. Perfect for slow mornings, cozy evenings, or just feeling good throughout the day. And here's the best part. You can get 40% off with the code LIFE when you check out. That's right, 40% off of your new favorite cozy essentials. So treat yourself, you deserve it. Head to cozyearth.com and use the code LIFE at checkout.
That he was measuring behind, and that the heartbeat was too slow and that it was probably not a viable pregnancy.
Oh,
And then that week at work, I started bleeding. I had a hemorrhage. So I thought I was losing the baby. Like, luckily, we were
yeah.
able to get in for an ultrasound that day. And she was like, turns out you're fine. There's a heartbeat.
What an emotional roller coaster.
So I never felt safe. And I didn't
Yes.
stop bleeding or get like cleared until I was 13 weeks.
Wow.
And then my mom passed
What's
away
the
when I was 6 months
oh,
pregnant. And then I went into preterm labor at 32 weeks. So, like, I don't feel like at all in my pregnancy that I felt that same excitement
yeah,
and
yeah.
joy. And
The
there's so
glow.
much guilt with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right, because so often we see pregnancies and here with our circle of friends of like, "Oh my gosh, this pregnancy has been so easy."
Mhm.
Or I have so much energy or I'm, had a little nausea, all of that. Even in my empty sac, an official term blighted
Blind ovum.
ovum, I had more pregnancy hormone, my breasts were
Interesting.
sore. I was super fatigued. I had nausea 24/7. I thought it was a win.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is far greater than the first pregnancy. And I began to get more hope.
Yep. And mine was the opposite. I had no
Yeah.
symptoms.
And yet
So
your pregnancy was in the
and
end
now I have a two and a
thriving.
half year old. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was worried that I'm not having
Mhm.
symptoms because this is not a viable pregnancy. So
Yeah.
I think like after there's like this, it's not talked about enough, but
Yeah.
like after loss in whatever degree,
Yeah.
whether it's you've placed a child for adoption or you've had a
Yeah.
miscarriage or an ectopic
Uh-huh.
pregnancy or a
Uh-huh.
blighted ovum
Or stillbirth
or
all the way to
stillbirth,
that.
any of
Yeah.
these losses, they steal this joy and this light.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
everything, you don't get to say, I had an easy
Mhm.
pregnancy and
Mhm.
I didn't get sick. It
Right.
ends up being like, oh, is my progesterone not high enough? And is
Right.
that
Am I
why I'm
drinking
not
enough water? Did I mean, it's just
the
such a messy
spiral?
mind game.
Yeah.
And there is some element of responsibility that we just as parents, even with our children who are 2 feet walking on the ground,
Mhm.
of am I doing everything right?
Yeah. Am I doing enough?
And yeah. And then now we're in this, one of the conversations my nurse had with me, your doctor was like, "Hey, there's not enough fluid around the sac, so make
Mhm.
sure you're drinking more." And I'm like, I can't even look at any food, any drink without
Mm.
wanting to like throw up. And then, I'm just like, okay. And I had to remove blame in those initial miscarrying moments of like, oh, I guess I didn't drink enough.
Yeah.
I didn't
It's never that simple.
And then I remind myself, and I don't want to poke at anyone who's gone through this, but it was like there are people who don't live a healthy lifestyle. Maybe they're smoking, maybe they're doing drugs, and the child is somehow makes it.
Mhm.
So it was leaning into just simple, everybody's body is different.
Mhm.
I can't control this. I've done nothing wrong.
Mhm.
And really trying to believe that, which is a tug of war
Yeah.
through all the whys. I don't understand the grieving, the crying. Like you still I now 20 some years later, I can say no, I did it all right.
Right.
It just Logan was my story,
And there's
my
also
son.
the disconnect of like, you can know, I'm pointing to my head
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah.
You can know up
Mhm,
here,
mhm.
but in your heart, you don't know.
Oh, they don't
Like, I
connect.
know the ectopic pregnancy wasn't my fault, but if I'm being really honest with you,
Mhm, mhm,
I still live with the shame. It was my
mhm.
body
Right.
that failed the
Yeah.
pregnancy. It's my body that
Mhm,
cannot get pregnant
mhm,
spontaneously. It's
mhm,
my body that so I still live with that like that guilt, even
yeah.
though I know there was nothing I could have done to
Mhm,
prevent having
mhm,
severe endometriosis and having
mhm,
tubes that were
mhm.
unhealthy, right? That
Yeah.
was not any singular unhealthy choice I made
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone who is listening, you also know like it's okay to have these feelings too
Mhm,
and know mentally and like that
mhm.
it's not your fault, but also feel like that shame or that guilt. Those
Yeah.
feelings are very valid
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with them still living
Mhm,
inside you.
mhm, mhm. I as I go through thinking now the different stages as I went through to finally get into having being a mom. The big goal for me was being a mom. Yes, pregnancy is a part of it. Just like being a wife, you also have a marriage and then you have a wedding, but the wedding is short term.
Mhm,
The pregnancy is short term. And so how for me, my journey with infertility, as the doctor mapped it all out, and you can go here and you could take these shots, and then if that doesn't work we can compound it with this, and then it kept progressing like
mhm,
different
mhm,
columns of how I would go all the way to a petri dish, option between my ex-husband and I. So for us, we drew the line after 5 rounds of insemination, and we accepted that adoption would be our process. And everyone's end point is different.
Yeah.
And everyone's version of how we get there is different, but it's still so valuable. Each choice we make, I mean, honestly, when I look back, surrogacy would probably have been our best route if we really wanted to go with our own
biological child. Yeah.
Through progesterone and all these things, there was an unexplained why my body wouldn't produce more lining, which would hold the baby. And so when you get an answer, there's no reason.
Yeah.
Then you have to navigate what feels right. And so that's where we opened our hearts to adoption. And then Logan came literally 2 days later after the final round of fertility. So,
wow.
Like everyone's story evolves so differently. But what I think we relate to in this moment is the untalked about feelings, emotions that come with it that is just out of our control and hit us out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You can't plan for it.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's no planning. And I want to circle back on what you just touched on, and like you knew what your limit was. Like you chose to stop after those 5 rounds of, I'm assuming, like IUI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And I want to emphasize that there's no right or wrong, right? Like we tried 2 rounds of IUI and that was done. And then we were like, okay, we're going on to IVF.
Yeah.
I know women who have gone through 10 rounds of IVF and they're done. I have known women who have done 5 rounds and they're done. I posted something on National Rainbow Baby Day that was like, don't stop chasing rainbows. And then in the caption it said, or do. Because only you know what your journey is supposed to look like and what quote unquote done is, or like, are you turning that page to the next chapter? I have a friend who has had, I don't think I can even count how many losses she's had, and she's moved on to adoption too. But adoption isn't the option for everyone.
No.
Some people would rather, have just them and their husband instead of adopting or going down that route, or, and I just want to emphasize that the importance of everyone's story being so unique to them and only between the husband and wife. I think adoption is beautiful. Obviously, I have my own story with it.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a common, it is commonly used as a Band-Aid. I feel like when I've seen comments in my friends after they're posting about losses, I've seen strangers comment on their page telling them that they should just adopt. And as you know, it's not just adopt. That's not a simple, easy decision to make.
No.
So I want to emphasize that importance too, of like everybody's story is so different, and adopting isn't always the answer for everyone. And create that PSA of saying, hey, you're struggling with infertility, you should probably just adopt, is not ever something that's okay to say to someone who's grieving their fertility.
Yeah. And I think there's like, I had someone say, well, maybe your baby would have been deformed. And I believe in the heart of hearts, they are trying to find the positive. But at the end of the day, like, people just say wild things and don't have the wrong intent, but they're just grasping to help support. And in reality, I have found the best support is saying, what can I do to help you?
100%.
Like,
That
you don't have to
open-ended,
guess.
like, what feels right for you?
Yeah,
like,
what
how
can I do
I
to
show
help
up for
support
you?
you? I'm really sorry for the loss, period. Not finding something to help justify why this happened, because nobody knows.
No. And it doesn't feel good, right? Because it doesn't, like the ectopic pregnancy too. Like I don't know, I didn't have a heartbeat, and I wonder, like, well, what if it did? And like someone was like, well, thank goodness it didn't have a heartbeat. And I was like, well, what if it did though? Would I have felt differently? Like, would I have processed that it was my baby? Like, I don't know. Like, so I think people just need to just keep their personal thoughts to themselves. And when they're trying to say something to comfort us as we're grieving, recognize that it's probably they're trying to comfort themselves with that conclusion.
Yeah.
But yeah, the best thing to do is that open-ended, like, how can I support you? Or can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Or, someone to talk about their name. Like I have a friend who lost her baby at almost 23 weeks, and her name is Hope. And she's like, I just want people to acknowledge her. I want people to acknowledge I have a daughter.
Right.
But grief is so hard to sit with, and it's not welcome in our society.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that's one of my missions with Moms for Moms is like, let's just sit with grief. Let's welcome her in. Let's give her a seat at the table. We don't have to let it consume our meetup, or we don't have to like cry if you don't want to. But like, I just want to create the space that we can be like, yeah, it's hard. Being a mom is hard.
Oh, yeah.
The journey to become a mom is hard.
Yeah.
Sitting in grief and pregnancy loss and infertility is really freaking hard. And yeah, if I can offer the biggest piece of advice, it's like you said, just offer like, how can I support you? And we might say, I don't know, but thanks for asking.
Yeah.
And that feels 10 times better than you telling me my baby might have had a deformity.
Right. 100%. And, I remember I didn't know what I wanted with my first miscarriage. I was really guarded on the second one because of what I went through. And it's like, until I get to that one appointment and the next one, I'm just going to be cautious. But I remember I want my mom here, but I don't want to talk it. I don't want to talk, I want to talk about it when I want to, but then I want to shut the conversation down when I want to.
Yes.
So there was just so many things where I also didn't really know how to articulate what I wanted. And that is okay too. It's like, it's absolutely okay. And I am an overshare communicator, heart on my sleeve. So to be in a position where I can't really say what is helpful was a foreign space. And, that is something that it just blindsides you with feelings. And then you just have to like sit in it.
Yeah. So this is my first time ever sharing this. After we lost our baby, we called, I think it was a boy just because I had no like pregnancy symptoms. It was very similar to our son. And we called him Little Lentil because that was the last size before I think our appointment.
Yeah.
And I remember after the hospital and being the surgery and the recovery and everything, I made a Facebook post about it. And I kind of had said like, oh, I'm putting this out there because I feel like being asked multiple times again and again would be hard. And of course, I got an outpour of love. I had so many people that were so sweet and so kind, people who related and thanked me for being so open about my journey. But there was still so much shame. And I still I feel it still in my bones of like, I overshared. That wasn't like appropriate for me to like dump all that trauma on everyone, or like maybe, society says you just keep things to your chest and like you don't, like that's only something your close family should know. But I was so desperate for support. I was so desperate for validation and so desperate to talk about my baby that I hadn't even had a chance to announce my pregnancy about.
Right.
Like it's that same thing of like you feel this innate excitement and overwhelm and you're a mother and then it was gone. Like faster than I could have had time to actually sit with it and enjoy it. So I felt like the Facebook post maybe was my way of like talking about it and getting to I celebrate in a way.
Yeah. And I think it's a form of journaling.
Yeah.
I think that's a form of journaling. And I think I applaud you for that. Facebook was only for colleges back then. So
times have changed.
It's changed so much. And then I think like when I come across, in your feed or random things that pertain to pregnancy loss, rainbow babies, etc. It's like, what a cool space to be, even if you get the yuck in there, because the camaraderie in this sport is the win.
Yeah.
And
we just don't have to do it alone. We don't have to. So
Yeah.
Don't.
And it's like the more something's talked about, and I remember saying this is going to be a story to help others. I remember that was finding my win within it.
Mm.
Is like, this is going to be a story to help others.
Yeah.
Because it's not talked about. No one talks about that. We only see the deliveries, the babies, the all the
announcement photos.
Yes. And so there are others out there that I'm going to come across that have had a loss.
Mhm.
And for that, I can speak to.
Yep.
And I can share my story of where I knew my end goal was to become a mom. And that's where my story led me down to adoption that fit our story. So for me, it's talking about it and then celebrating however that looks like for the other person.
Yeah.
And really coming alongside them. I remember a lady at the bank, so I'm going to tell a funny story because this, of course, is such a like heavy topic, but so needed for our community. But I was at the bank and I have Logan in the stroller, and the lady is telling me how cute my kid is.
Mm.
He had to been about like 2. And he's like, you should have another one. And, they don't know. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, I know, we're thinking about it. I'm trying to navigate responses
Yep.
to people. And she kept pushing. She literally didn't, again, unaware. And people do so many things without awareness or reading rooms or etiquette.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. So she finally, like, after pushing several times, I just said to her, I was like, I can't have children. And I was sassy and direct. I said, so we're able to just have him and he's adopted. And the look on her face was almost a reward for me.
Yeah.
To finally, like, she reaped, unfortunately, the history I was getting from people. Like, oh, you make such cute kids, you should have another. These comments or that have nothing to do with, you don't have more children because you make cute ones.
Yeah.
That's like not a reason to have children.
Please don't.
Yeah. Like, no, because where our family is ready, you want more children. You can support more children.
Right.
But the lady just got the compiling comments and it felt freeing.
Yeah.
I wasn't rude to her. I just gave her awareness of my story.
Your voice was heard.
And it was like, hopefully she walked away that day realizing where she had to stop talking.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have another. And then left it there.
Yeah.
But she proceeded on. So, that's where you have to, not have to, no one has to do anything, but you can choose to let some of that stuff roll and see that they have no idea about your story. But there is a piece where we feel like we have to defend our story. At some point we get poked.
A little too hard.
I'm like, oh, you want to know everything? I'm going to give you some of that.
Yeah. No, I can say, like, okay, so this is, I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but I feel like religion is used in a similar way where someone had told me, and I think they knew I went through pregnancy loss. They knew that I was struggling. They knew I was doing everything in my power. And they made a comment like you should pray about it, or in God's time, or it was, it's in God's hands or something. And I was like, well, can you talk to your God? Because mine's not listening. Like, that's not the answer.
Right.
Like, that's not going to give me a baby. One more prayer, or praying harder, or believing more, or nothing is going to make me grow healthy fallopian tubes. Like, that's off the, that's a little off the list of what we can do here. So I think just even that, knowing that I know they're coming from a good place. I know that it makes them feel good to know it's in God's timing. It's in his hands, and let's just let it go. But I would love for it to be in my hands.
Right.
I would love to be able to be in control of this. And so you reminding me that I'm not doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I know. I'm like thinking about the person who said this to me. I know you're coming from a good place.
Right.
I know you're coming from a loving heart, and you believe your God is going to work a miracle in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And that is not helpful.
Yeah.
So I think another just like piece of advice is like, if you believe that your God is going to do that, then go home and pray about it. But don't put that on the person who's grieving in that moment, because we don't know where their journey is.
Yeah. And
I have friends who went from not being religious to becoming religious during their fertility journey, because they have to put their faith in something in order to keep moving forward every day. And then I have friends who are questioning their faith. Why would my God do this to me?
Yeah.
So I think that
I did have those. I mean, I grew up in the church, so I did have moments with like, God, you know my heart. You know, I want to be a mom.
Yeah.
You know, and so those were conversations that were between God and I was raw with him, and I was never mad at him, but I was confused.
Yeah. Naturally.
And that's the part. And then of course, as I fast forward through meeting Logan and all that, and then I'm like, okay, God, I understand what my story is supposed to look like. But
in retrospect.
In it, we never, whether we're in, fertility journey or trying to figure out a job situation, or we're in a really challenging relationship with a partner, like whatever that looks like, we don't understand it in the eye.
Yep.
And so we are going to have confusion, and then it all makes sense
in the end.
Yeah. Like we all can look back 2020, right? I want to pivot because I know you did some traveling.
Oh yeah. I did.
And you shared a little bit before we popped on here, but I kind of liked what you were doing for yourself in the midst of your fertility journey.
Yeah.
So tell what about your why behind your travels.
Sure. So I think I shared I'm 5 years, which feels like a long time to me, but for some people that's like nothing into our fertility journey. And infertility.
Yeah.
And we tried multiple rounds of IUI. I got a slew of diagnoses. I never had an unexplained infertility. So it was like endometriosis, PCOS. I found out I had a pituitary tumor in my brain that was causing like excessive prolactins that can cause infertility as well. I have heart-shaped uterus. And then most recently, we found out I have really low AMH. So diminished ovarian reserve is anything below 1. And mine is like 1.8.
What's AMH?
Anti-mullerian hormone. So it's basically the indicator of like your egg health. So how many eggs you have, how long are you going to be fertile? Kind of thing.
Sure. Okay.
So it's not a good number to have below 1. And so when I think it was before we had done round 2, we found out it was 1.8. So we did round 2 of IVF. We did round 3 of IVF. We have 2 viable options for us, 2 good embryos. So we have 2 chances.
Okay.
But that's a lot of money and a lot of time and and we're completely out of pocket. So we're talking like over 50 grand, never mind all the extra stuff like acupuncture, the preparations, all the
compounding. I had compounding pharmacy stuff. So that was more expensive than
and I wasn't responding to my medications. So they had to give me like double, triple what other people were. So like we're talking like one injection pen was like $1,000 or something, $2,000. So it's just it's astronomical.
Sure.
And we finished our last 2 rounds, and then we realized like with it only having these two really good options, like we got to give it our best.
Yeah.
And I've heard of friends who have had surgery for their endometriosis, an excision right before an embryo transfer, and having success and getting pregnant. So I had a talk with my husband, and I was like, I really feel like we need to just do everything.
Yeah.
So we started the process. We were on a waiting list with the Mayo Clinic, and we talked to our fertility clinic, and she was like, yeah, considering the symptoms you're explaining, basically, it feels like we're running out of time, basically. Like we've already got the embryos frozen, but let's move forward with an egg retrieval an embryo transfer as soon as possible.
Sure.
So after meeting with the first Mayo Clinic specialist, the gynecological surgical department, she had reviewed all my documents. I had sent her everything from the last few years. And she was pretty like, I have a feeling you're going to have surgery, like, but it's not up to me. Like, you have to meet with the surgical
Sure.
specialist before you meet with her. It's required to do an MRI, a
Mm.
diagnostic MRI, to see if you have deep infiltrated endometriosis, because that's a lot harder to address in surgery.
Okay.
And so we got off that call, and I just felt like, okay, it's beginning again.
Right.
Our embryo results we got in January, and then I was done. I'm like, I'm done with the supplements. I'm done with eating well. I'm done with
breathe a
everything.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just felt that like impending doom of like, okay, I'm going to be back on a regimen. I'm going to lose control over my schedule, because when the Mayo Clinic sends you an appointment, you say yes, and you show up as soon as you can, because you don't know when you're getting another one. Diet, obviously I have endometriosis. I need to be on an anti-inflammatory diet. I hate dieting. I love my potatoes. So not to say you can't find
it
a
is
happy
a lot
between.
of selfless.
Yeah. So I just
stuff.
feel like my life is being taken over. My autonomy, my schedule, my own choices, I'm taking supplements 3 times a day. It's a lot. And so I just felt myself falling into this depression of like helplessness again. And not for a guaranteed baby, just for the chance.
Right.
So I have this app that that like alerts me of like cheap flights, and
I need this app, by the way.
I have a code too for you. If you
I
want
love that.
And flights ended up popping up from PHX, from Phoenix to London Heathrow nonstop, round trip for 500. Sorry, maybe it was like 519, but $500. Yeah. And traveling solo internationally is way outside my comfort zone, but it's been on my bucket list forever. I love traveling, and how liberating to be able to be like, I did that.
I know.
And it's London.
I was excited. I went to San Diego by myself.
Yeah. I mean,
but that was part. Well, first
thing.
It was Sedona. So that was like, okay, I can do this little thing by myself too. And then I'm like, okay, San Diego. But internationals is also
it's next level.
Yeah, it is. And it's on my list because I want to challenge myself and get uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. That's exactly why I did it. I felt like, I've been living in this comfort of having predictability in my life. I'm about to be uncomfortable, but at least I can choose this discomfort.
Yeah.
And I can be uncomfortable while doing something liberating.
Even if you're in your hotel room.
Yeah. And I did one of the days. I just sat in my hotel room. I played on my Switch. I listened to the rain. I did nothing.
Oh,
I took a nap. And it just was.
How many days were you gone?
7 days. I think 8 days technically, because you lose a day with travel, but it was 7 days. Wow. And so I went to London by myself. I didn't do the only things I did was I bought my flight, I bought my hotel, and I bought a ticket to Hamilton. That's another thing I never would have done, is go to a show by myself. Cool. But I didn't look up trains. I didn't look up the buses. I was like, I'm going to figure it out when I get there.
Just be immersed.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that?
Immersed.
Immersed.
Yeah,
that's the
immersion. Yeah, I knew what you meant.
I did not go to English. Is not my strength here, class wise. Just to show up.
Yeah.
And let the rest.
And that's what I did. And it was so cool. Everything I needed. The discomfort I sat in, the lessons I learned, the things I learned about myself. I spent a lot of time journaling, because that's how I'm an external processor. So getting stuff out and being able to.
You can ask my boyfriend.
Perfect. We have so much in common.
Yeah.
So I did the damn thing, but not just because of infertility, but like, I also, as I was stepping into this role in Moms for Moms, I'm like, I can show other moms they can take a break.
Oh, yeah.
I can show other moms that they can step outside their comfort zone. Like, I had someone message me and was like, I'm scared, like as a mom and and I was like, same. Yeah. Terrifying to leave my child.
Yeah.
And I'm not, an hour flight away if something happened, or, and I love to catastrophize, and I love to
the what ifs.
Yes. Yeah. So that was really just, I needed to surrender. And that was really powerful for me to be able to do that, especially so I didn't tell you this, but today is my appointment with my specialist.
Oh.
So I find out today basically what the plan is moving forward with Mayo. And
what time is that today?
At 2:45, 1:45.
I'll say a little prayer and think of you guys.
Thank you.
I know this we could rabbit trail on so many mom topics, but I'm a firm believer it's first Ange. Like Ange came onto this earth,
Mm-hmm.
then I became a wife,
Mm-hmm.
then I became a mom.
Yes.
And I also am a hairstylist in there. So I want to make sure I never lose Ange.
Yep.
Because as the hats change or I get more hats to wear,
they just stack on top of each other.
So it's really such a gift when we can slow down and like find ourselves again. And I'm in an empty nest space. So I'm finding myself, just did a podcast, a solo one, talking about me and finding Ange again and my purpose and preparing for that. So if we can do that as we parent from newborn to empty nest and we don't forget about us, we actually show up better.
100%. It's just like even on the airplane, right? You have to put your mask on first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I realized I dove head first into Moms for Moms. If you would have asked me years ago if I was going to do this, I would have emphatically said hell no, because I actually hate social media. But it's a way to connect, and it's a way to reach more people than just like meeting them at a park. So it really feels like a way that I can make an impact. But I realized very quickly, I didn't know the balance of when was enough or too much of giving to everyone else around me and not enough to myself.
Well, and how truth is, we can all relate to this, where we commit to things, we say yes, and the next thing you know, we're deep into all these fun, exciting things we said yes to, but we're losing ourselves.
Yeah.
And like it sneaks up.
Yep.
So it's finding out the boundaries, or finding out in that moment, like, whoa, overcommitted, over said yes. I am not putting myself first, my family, whatever your firsts are in your value system. So it's just good to be okay with setting those boundaries.
Yeah. And that was exactly it. It was important for me to choose myself and set that boundary. And it was a great reset during that time. There's several emails I thought about sending out, and I actually have like a business partner, someone that I do play dates for, and she was like, do not send me an international email. I do not want any international emails. Yeah. She was like, you do not need to be working. But I thought about it. But that was, again, that reminder of like, oh, this is the discomfort of sitting with those to-dos.
Yeah. And not doing
I'm not going to do it. And
true.
If this is uncomfortable, then I need to have less on my plate.
Yeah. And I think that's such a good thing to take away for our listeners, is to be okay with the discomfort, right? We're used to go, doing, responding like right away. Now you have a time difference. It almost forces you to slow it down and to like, no, I am not going to. And then and a growth opportunity to move through the discomfort. And then it's like freeing on the other end when you're like, no, I'm back east in Cape Cod. My stepmom asked me if I would are you going to do a reel or post stuff? And I just said, while I'm traveling, I choose minimal social media because I want to look through the lens of my eyeballs, not through my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like a growth opportunity for me to set the boundary verbally with someone. Like
saying it out loud is different than just thinking it, right?
And just being like, okay, that I sent the text message, like, and please don't post the photos I send you. Cause she was like, she's so zealous. And they gifted us this trip for us sisters to go and to stay at the timeshare. But the point is like, I had to set a boundary, for myself within how I want to show up in my social media.
Yeah.
And I don't want to I'm not ready to give all the photos to people. I want to just be here right now looking at this gorgeous sunset, the beach, and taking in lobster rolls.
Yeah.
And oysters.
That is a great point. I did the same thing. There was many times in London where I was like, oh, this would be a perfect opportunity for content or whatever. And I was like, no, I would just much rather just enjoy this meal. Or I would just much rather enjoy this conversation with this person I just met. Or And I think that was also a good lesson. And, living authentically, there
Mhm.
is nothing better, in my opinion. And I think
Mhm.
social media tries to steal that from you
Mhm.
because it's a
Mhm.
highlight reel.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they also, like, social
Snippet.
media just wants to see everything.
Mhm.
But that's just not real. Like, I
No.
don't know. Do you follow Elise Myers?
Mm-mm.
Oh, love her. She's so real. She's so authentic. She struggles with mental health and
Mhm.
OCD and stuff. And she's so candid about it.
Mhm.
And she's just great. But she like made a story post or a post about
Yeah.
the lingo um, of that someone accused her of not spending time with her family because she doesn't post her children on social media. And I
That's
was like, that's
that's
that's social media, right?
well,
You
to
only
me,
see
that
what
says
you
she's putting. I mean, I look at it through a different lens. I'm like, well, she's choosing not to
yeah,
open up that space.
that's not what
Does it
she
has
wants.
nothing to do with the amount of time she spends or doesn't. There's a
100%. But all you see is
misconception.
all you see,
Yeah.
right? And that's why social media can only be a
Mhm.
highlight reel. I
Yeah.
posted a beautiful picture of this breakfast I made my toddler this morning because I was really
You
dang
do that
proud of
every
it.
day, right? Every
No.
day you're like making a 5-star meal, right?
Oh,
No,
no.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
My
I was
point,
like,
no,
"Oh,
but that's
should I
my
be?"
no, I'm just saying, like, that was a one moment.
Right,
Like, it's not every day that we have time to do that.
right.
Sometimes it's like we're grabbing a granola bar and we're
Mhm.
heading out the door
Uh-huh.
and your
Yep,
sippy cup's got water in it. You
yep,
don't get juice today because
yep.
it's just not how it's working.
100%.
Yeah.
And I had people comment who were like, "Oh, how do you get your kid to eat that or something?" And I was like, "Oh, real talk, we had to pretend we were dinosaurs or he wasn't
I
eating
know,
anything.
this
He
is
had
like
no interest at
yeah.
sitting at the table, but had me and my husband all not been pretending like we were dinosaurs, each taking bites of our tomatoes or whatever, like it wasn't going to happen." So like this is again,
Mhm.
Instagram's a
Mhm.
highlight reel. Don't forget,
Yeah.
like there's other stuff happening behind the scene that
Oh,
makes
yeah.
this way less picture
I
perfect.
know. I know. I'm like debating on doing a raw, authentic podcast on my relationship earlier this year. It was, I would say, starting in October of last year, but it has been the hardest I've ever experienced. Like, there's so many components and moving parts, but it's like I didn't even want to personally post any lovebird pictures of us because I'm like, that's not real. We are
Mm.
not in this season right now.
Mhm.
I love him, but I do not like him right now, and he probably doesn't like me either right now. And
That's real.
we worked through it. Like, I would say, like, July 1st was our turning point, but that's when you started seeing pictures of him and I back on the
Yeah, yeah,
media
yeah.
because we were doing stuff together and we were investing into each other, and we
And you were authentically enjoying it. So that's
yeah,
how you
I
could
just not going to
authentically
post
show
things
it.
that are not
Yeah,
real.
same.
I mean, I can't do that for myself.
Mhm.
So if so you're like, "Oh, now everyone knows my secret. Oh, they're they're having a little bump, so that's why we're not seeing pictures of them." You know.
Or you just don't wanna be on social media,
Yeah,
where we
that
get to
too.
just do whatever we want.
So, couple more minutes left on here, but I do want to know what your highlight of your trip was. Like, what was something that really stands out, or what you did that says, I am Stephanie in London doing her, and this feels right.
I think the aspect that speaks to that the most was, I took a I took a boat to Greenwich. It was a part of I did it really super cheap. I got the hop on, hop off bus and the 3-day pass, and that included, like, the boat that takes you to Greenwich and back.
Okay.
And that was, like that was all I was splurging in. Other than
Yeah.
paying for food and souvenirs, I didn't do any in Hamilton, I did
Oh,
nothing
okay.
else.
Yeah.
And so going to Greenwich, I took a boat to an unknown little island, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, had no idea where I was, had no idea. I didn't research, I
Uh-huh.
didn't look anything up. I just got off the boat and just started walking around.
Okay.
And I called my best friend and I was just like, "Oh, I just took a boat over." And she goes, "Listen to you. I just took a boat over here. I'm in London." But I stumbled across this restaurant that was just like a tavern, and it
Hmm.
was the best onion and goat cheese tart or something I've ever
Yummy.
had. It was like a highlight of my meal. I grabbed a glass of wine and I sat on the water and I
Wow.
just existed. I enjoyed
Hmm.
existing. And then I actually met the people who were sitting behind me. And so the friend who lost her daughter Hope had given me these tiny owls to travel with her. That's how she's keeping her alive and traveling the world and experiencing. So I took it upon myself to ask other people to have Hope travel with them back home. So I met these 3 people, and one was from Lincolnshire, England. One was from Malawi, and then the other one was from South Africa. So Hope got to travel home with all of them.
Cool.
And they were so lovely, and they were so eager to hear this story. And they cried and they held me and they were like, "Can I take a picture of you?" It was so cool. And then the craziest thing is 2 days later, we ran into each other in a totally another part of London, totally like hours away, right?
Goosebumps.
And we were just crossing the crosswalk from each other. And I was just like, what is happening right now? And we both just like acknowledged that this was a very powerful meeting. We were supposed to meet each other. And she was like, we have a couple more days here before we go back to Africa. And she's like, we will find each other again. We don't need to set the time or the place, but she's like, we will find each other again. And so Greenwich, amazing. That meeting those people was amazing. And then that full circle moment of just like, this is bigger than me, and I'm really lucky to be here.
That $519 ticket was meant for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it just starts with that.
Did I tell you the flight home, I got a whole row to myself?
No, but I saw on your social media and I was like, I relate to that because I had a whole row when I went over to Athens, and I was like,
gosh. You feel like you won the lottery.
Yeah, especially when you have the cheaper seats. I'm like, this is first class now. All of a sudden I've been upgraded.
So yeah, I think Greenwich and just like the experiences I had there and the liberating, the liberation of just go and do and trust your intuition that you're in a safe place and you're going to enjoy it no matter what you did. And I did.
Now I'm going to tell James that I've got my new bucket list to go somewhere on my own.
It's really cheap in August to London.
Yeah, so. I've been to London, and I'd be open to going back now that I've had some time to think on like what would I do in London. And anyways, but so cool. And I always end a podcast with saucy secrets. So I want to hear something saucy. That's a secret. Okay. Funny, whatever.
Okay, we're gonna go with how my husband and I met. I was online dating. I had been online dating for a while. I was actually engaged before my husband, and it was a really rough relationship. Did not end well after 4.5 years. And then I did online dating, and we matched on Tinder.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't know there's like different type. I don't know. I just jump in both feet.
Like I barely can put my posts on Facebook, let alone on a dating app here.
And this guy had awful like thumbnail. He had used like Facebook thumbnail photos as his profile picture. So super pixelated. Couldn't really tell. Like, I don't know, whatever. I swiped right. And then we're chatting, and he says that I was sassy, but I would never. I said something about, I asked him when his birthday was. Turns out he's a Virgo. My ex was a Virgo. The ex before that was a Virgo. That like all bad news was Virgo.
You're like, I think I should have done less.
Yeah. I was like, so what if I told you that I haven't had good luck with Virgos or something? And his response was, what if I told you I don't believe in that? And he said I was sassy. Neither of us can agree on what the next message was. But then his response was ... backing away slowly. So I said, well, let me help you then. And I blocked him.
And I mean, it's kind of like, well, I did online dating for a hot minute, but there's like no investment.
No.
So
I was like, I was doing like 5 dates a week. Like I was just like, so I'm just trying to hang out. I want someone to have dinner with. I was having dinner with someone in my home every night for the last 4.5 years. Like I'm just ready to just like have socialized. And find myself in these uncomfortable experiences. We matched on Bumble 10 months later.
Oh my gosh.
And he remembered me. I didn't remember him. And
he's like, oh, the sassy lady.
Yeah, this crazy chick. And it wasn't until our third date that I told him, I was like, I'm glad I swiped right on you because I had a bad taste in my mouth when I saw your pictures. And he was like, oh crap, she's going to figure out I'm a Virgo and like leave. And so he tried playing dumb for a bit and he was like, oh, that's weird. And I was like, yeah, weird, huh? Or something. He's like, yeah, actually, I think we met on another platform or chatted on another platform. And I was like, what did I say?
You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Do I want to
too
know
level-headed for this to be your fault? So I was like, what did I say? And he said something about like a Virgo or something. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, oh, that was you. Okay. Okay.
Were his pictures at least better on the next platform?
Yes, he learned. Someone must have taught him how to take a selfie or something. So
I feel like that
actual
needs to have its
photos.
own like education episode.
Yeah.
Like, men, please listen.
We don't want to see your fish. We don't want to see your gym photos.
No, and we do not want to see chaos in the background that's sloppy and messy.
And stop posting group photos with a friend that looks like you so I don't know which one is you.
So true. It's like, I crossed some of those where I'm like, you have literally someone has a photo with all these people and I don't know who you are.
No, that
So
defeats the
I actually
purpose.
probably like the other guy.
Yeah, right. Good to know you have friends. I'm out. So yeah, so then we were happily married 3 years later, and now he's, it's been 8 years since that date, and I'm just so grateful he gave me a second chance because I feel like we were made for each other.
And 10 months later, and that's so awesome that he recognized you.
Yeah.
And then yet you didn't. It's kind of like the mystery behind it.
I don't know. It's the quintessential Stephanie and Alex like meeting. And like, I think it's just very us, like started with like, and then we were like, oh, okay, now we can do this.
Yeah.
Well, and to take 3 dates too, to like remember or say something that gave us enough time for, I was smitten after the first date. So,
with James, I remember, so I met him in March at a run event out here actually at Agritopia, Joe's Farm Grill. And he's from North Scottsdale at the time. And then I like hobbled my way. I just hurt my back and I was showing up for this men's group run group for Lululemon when I worked, and they were coming out with a new boxer short, yada, yada. So he knew me. He remembered me, and I had ran into him in a couple other events. But I didn't know, like, I was trying to remember who this guy was, but then I was like looking on social media. Barely has photos of himself. But then I run into him later, and apparently I asked him if he was in a relationship. Like, I don't even remember asking him if he was in a relationship.
Oh my gosh.
And then I guess he was shocked. He was like, I thought, I was so surprised because this was like later in June. So March was the first encounter, June. And so I was just like, I asked you that? And then I said, what did you say? What did I say? And he said, well, I asked that back to you. And then you told me your life was complicated.
Yeah,
and it was very complicated. But I was wrapping up complication. But yeah, I'm just like, those are the funny stories that I think just create the relationship memory, because you got to have a fun story. And dating ones are the best.
Yeah. And we would have shared it at our wedding, but we ended up getting married during COVID. So
yeah,
this is the closest thing I'm getting to sharing.
Maybe just cut this part of the podcast and share it,
there you go,
on your social media.
Perfect.
Stephanie, thank you so much for being on, sharing your story, your finding yourself in the midst of it. I think that's such a huge takeaway. And we will post all your connection stuff. And if our other moms want to get out there and connect with you and your Moms for Moms, you're making a big impact in the Gilbert area. And I'm just so glad we met.
Thank you so much. And I do want to share that I do stuff it definitely grew beyond the infertility and the IVF moms. I do adoption, foster, NICU, like any type of mom. I just want to help bring different types of moms to like find their people. So we do some really cool stuff. And my big thing is just like to hold authenticity. Like I just want to hold motherhood in the space that it really deserves. And that's all of it.
And I think that is what creates the best community, when people show up real. And you did that today.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This has been so fun.
Oh, you're welcome.